Guys, if you have been watching our show, this correction shouldn't shock. I told you that there's going to be a correction. The good news is that now I'm telling you that the correction's over. So whereas the correction started yesterday, I think it's over now. So we saw about a 25% correction in Bitcoin. The good news is that I think we have seen the worst of the blood. I said to you guys, if you're going to buy anything, buy things that you have done research on. Buy things that will survive a correction. Buy tokens that are getting the network effect and will survive a correction. In this dip, are you worried about Luna? Are you worried about the king of payments, the one that has more payments than anything else? I'm not worried. This is the king of payments. They haven't even started yet. They're getting the network effect like anything else. You worried about Arweave? Okay, it's had a correction. It went down from $8 to $6. It's had a 25% correction. You worried about it? It's getting real world adoption every single day. It hasn't even started. It's getting the network effect. Let's get into Elrond. Elrond has had a huge correction. It's down 53%. This is a great buying opportunity. Harvest Finance. Remember I called this one. It went to $350 and it went down to $218. I picked up at about $225. That for me is a good buy. That for me was a good buy indeed. I'm Crypto Man Run. I come to you every single day at 10 a.m. EST and I bring you crypto love and I bring you crypto wisdom all around the world. So if you are in Los Angeles, wakey, rise and shine. We're in a bull market. Things are all happy again. If you're in New York, good morning. Hope your day is going well. Europe, you're almost home. Africa, you're almost home. Guys, did you watch our show yesterday? I told you guys yesterday, buy our 10x gems. Remember I said to you guys, buy Arweave. Buy all these 10x gems that are getting the network effect. Buy Elrond. Buy Luna. If you listened to us yesterday, you would have made a lot of money today. Because I said to you, I think that we had seen the bottom of the bounce. I don't think that we're going to get much more blood, although there could be some little bit more of a correction. But fundamentally and structurally, the market is, well, perfect. Yes, it may have run too much too quickly. But if you look at where we are now, it's exactly like I said to you yesterday. If you can find the gems that are getting the network effect, that are getting real world adoption, that are getting more and more people building on them, and you can buy them cheap, you'll make a lot of money. Remember yesterday I said to you guys, let's look at Arweave. If you can get Arweave, Fred, put up that chart that I showed yesterday. I told you Arweave went from $8 and it went down to $6 yesterday. And I said to you guys, at $6, if you can own the king of file storage, you've got to own the king of file storage, which in my mind is Arweave. There is nothing else like it today with the value. Guys, if you bought Arweave yesterday, look at where you are today. Yesterday, Arweave was down at below $6. Today, Arweave went as high as $11. It's now at $10.59. I told you, if you have gems that you know that are getting the network effect, yesterday was a great opportunity to be buying these gems. And if you followed our calls, you probably made a lot of money. Let's look at the next one that we looked at. We looked at Luna, king of the payment space. There is no better token today in the payment space. Not Litecoin, not even Bitcoin is better at micropayments than Luna. And they're getting the network effect. And yesterday I said to you at 8:40, I said to you yesterday, I said to you at 5:40 after it had gone down from 8:40, I said to you, buy Luna in the dips. If you can get Luna in the dips, buy Luna in the dips. What happened? It went all the way up to $8 today or $7.60. Yes, it has come down slightly now, but you could have traded these bounces and you could have made a lot of money. The other one that I told you about yesterday, I said to you, look at EGLD. Look at EGLD because that one for me, if you believe in the smart contract blockchain war, which is happening right now, then you need to be buying these dips when it comes to something like EGLD. Did you buy the dip? Well, if you had bought the dip, you would have made yourself 20, 30% in one day. I mean, if you caught the bottom of the dip, and I don't know if anyone caught the bottom of the dip at about $94, you could have made yourself 30% in one day. and you are buying fundamentally safe assets. So yes, of course, crypto is a risky asset class, but within the crypto asset class, these are the big tokens that are getting the network effect, and the ones that we're happy to double down on when when we get price corrections. So guys, if you watched yesterday and you liked the calls, do me one favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Help me share this content with as many people as possible, because when we share this content, we are effectively pumping our own bags. And that's what I need you guys to do. Now, I see that there's about over 1,000 of you in the chat today. We've got a massive show for you today. All you need to do is like, subscribe, and hit that bell button. Over 1,000 of you in the chat today. And for those of you who don't know what the bell button is for, it's pretty simple. Because if you hit that bell button, you get notifications every time we come on. And we come on at the craziest of times, because whenever something happens in the market, we want to be around to help you trade it. And we want you to get the notification first. So if you are here, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button, and let me tell you what else is coming up on the show today. So we've got Commissioner Hester Peirce. Remember I said to you that there's one thing that could take Bitcoin to $250,000. That, of course, is a Bitcoin ETF. Now, we had a problem that the SEC kept declining an ETF under Jake Layton. But Jake Layton's gone. And we've got Gary Gensler coming in, hopefully. And when he comes in, then chances are we'll get a Bitcoin ETF. And that will send the Bitcoin price flying. Remember I spoke to you about a Bitcoin ETF that is what was launched in Canada? Well, just 1 week into that Bitcoin ETF, that Bitcoin ETF has $500 million, $500 million worth of Bitcoin. It bought 1,032 Bitcoin on the market yesterday, which means that Canada is moving ahead of the USA when it comes to Bitcoin and regulating Bitcoin. And I don't think that the SEC is going to allow that. And today we have Commissioner Hester Peirce live, and we're going to grill her about the Bitcoin ETF that may be coming up. Now, bear in mind that she probably can't tell us about the specifics, but we can get a feel for what's going on inside the SEC and how they are viewing as Bitcoin as an asset class. And in particular, after it declined all the ETFs that were scheduled or that were applied for in 2017 and 2018. And like I said to you guys, I think that in 2021, we are going to see a Bitcoin ETF. I have no doubt in my mind. And I also said that when we get that Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin is going to $220,000 or $250,000 or maybe even higher. If you've noticed, there's been a big shift in buyers in Bitcoin, and we've reported on this big shift in buyers in Bitcoin before. We've said to you that there are a whole lot of new corporations that are buying Bitcoin. Today, we're going to pick up on that story, and we're going to talk to you about that. Another story that I want to talk to you guys about today is Tether settling with the New York Attorney General. So you had Tether, and the New York Attorney General had a case against them. And yesterday, they settled the case without admitting any wrongdoing or any liability. What does that mean? Well, it means that Tether's not going to explode. And we've said for a while that we don't think Tether's going to explode. We're not part of this Tether FUD. The truth is, I've always thought that it's backed. And if it's not 100% backed, it's backed by other loans from intercompany loans between Bitfinex and Tether. And it's not a big thing, because even if it's not 100% backed, then you're talking about a $35 billion asset in a $1 trillion asset class. And so I think that a big mountain was being made out of Tether. And today we have a whole lot of different competitors. So if you're not comfortable using Tether, well, you can just use USDC or BUSD or any one of those and not be linked to any of the Tether FUD. So I've always been a big believer that this Tether FUD was just FUD. And now that it's all behind us, I think that that was one of the major hurdles to us getting an ETF. And hopefully we can get that information out of Commissioner Hester Peirce today. We can ask her if Tether was one of the reasons or one of the hurdles that stood in between us and getting a Bitcoin ETF. But regardless, as I said to you, I think we are going to get a Bitcoin ETF this year. Let's go back to some of our calls from yesterday. You'll remember that yesterday I called Luna, I called Arweave, I called Harvest Finance, and that was trading at about $220 on the show when we bought into it. It went to about $330 today. I also said if you can pick up Superfarm, tokens at about $1, you'd be in the money. And I know they traded as low as $1.06, and they went up to about $1.40 or $1.50 today. So again, if you fundamentally believe in the tokens that we spoke about, if you fundamentally believe that these tokens are the ones getting the network effect, then yesterday was a great buying opportunity. And I don't think that we're going to have a much bigger correction. I don't think that we're going to go much below $45,000 or $44,000, which was the low of yesterday. I do think we're on the recovery. I don't expect a V-shaped linear recovery. I think the recovery was helpful. I think the recovery took out the speculative weak hands. I think the recovery made people realize that you've got to actually do some kind of due diligence and research. And that wasn't the case, because people were just investing in tokens, not actually even knowing what those tokens were about. And when that happens in a market, when you get that kind of euphoria, then you know that the market is going to collapse. And that's why I called the market to collapse. We also took a position yesterday on Uniswap. Uniswap had a massive recovery. Let me get the Uniswap chart for you guys so that you guys can see the recovery in Uniswap. But that's another one of our 10x gems. Fred, maybe put the 10x gems up on the screen so we can have a look at them. All these tokens that are part of our 10x gems, guys, we know that we can buy these things every single time that there is a correction. We can buy these gems. Let's look at this over here. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Let me show you my screen. And that is the Uniswap chart from yesterday. We had the bottom of the dip at about $20, and we are back already at $25, which means that that could be the easiest 25% that you guys can make just by buying tokens that you believe in the dip. What do we look for? We're looking for tokens that have got real life adoption with the network effect. And if you've got that, then when we get the dips, we buy. Now, a lot of you have been asking me about the cashometer. Where is the cashometer? Fred, call up the cashometer. Well, that's where the cashometer is. That's where the cashometer is. The cashometer is on 17.5%, which means that out of the 35% that I had in cash, I have already deployed 50% of that cash, and I have another 50% of that cash ready to deploy if the market takes another dip. Where did we deploy the cash? We bought, as I said to you yesterday, EGLD. We took the opportunity to buy EGLD because we know that EGLD is one of the smart contract networks that is getting the network effect. They have a very strong community. They have smart contract capabilities. They have the Maya wallet, which is, in my mind, a breakthrough in blockchain technology. It's the easiest wallet to use in the blockchain space, in my mind. The user interface is absolutely amazing. I deployed a little bit more money into Pickle. I deployed some money into Harvest Finance, a little bit into Uniswap, a little bit into Luna, and a little bit into Arweave. And so today, the cashometer is at 17.5%. We've got the cashometer today at 17.5%, and that means that we still have money to deploy whenever we want to deploy the money. Okay, so we've got all of that. Fred, let's look at the 10x gems once again. So those are our 10x gems, guys. Have a look at these. These are tokens that we think have got the network effect, and you can kind of buy them with your eyes closed whenever there's a dip. There are many others that have got this, but remember what we're looking for. We're looking for the network effect tokens that have real life adoption, and these are those network effects. So we've got a big show for you guys here today. We've got Michael van der Pop, who will be signing in at any time now. And we've got Commissioner Hester Peirce coming onto our show today. And we're going to talk to her about the Bitcoin ETF. And that is all coming up today. And then we've got an amazing announcement for you guys in the NFT space. So you know that we are absolutely gung-ho on the NFT space. We've been telling you guys that this is probably the biggest revolution in crypto, and not only in crypto. This is probably the biggest revolution in any type of industry ever. And tomorrow, we are going to bring you live bidding coverage of the Christie's auction of the Beeple artwork. And this is huge. You're talking about Christie's, which is the biggest auction house in the world, now auctioning NFTs. And tomorrow, live at 10 a.m. on Crypto Banter, we are going to be bringing you coverage of the auction. And we even have one bidder who's going to put in a huge bid on a piece of artwork. And he's agreed to do it live right here on Crypto Banter. You've got to be getting excited about this whole NFT space. You have to be getting excited about it. And tomorrow, I'm going to bring you live the bids on the Christie's auction for the Beeple artwork. And that is going to be one of the biggest things that's happening in the NFT space. And like I said to you guys, I think that this NFT space is going to explode. And we're going to keep bringing you projects that we think are doing magic in the NFT space. And then in other news, Square, Fred, call up the Square video.
And some headlines here on Bitcoin. Square had bought about $50 million worth of Bitcoin. The company doubling down on the total Bitcoin that they hold. The company purchased about $170 million worth of Bitcoin. That now makes up about 5% of Square's total cash or cash equivalent. So the company going further into the Bitcoin market, we're still reading into some of the guidance and other payment volume aspects of this report. But again, beat for Square, and the stock pretty much flat right now. It had been down earlier today based on some of those Bitcoin prices. Back to you guys.
So Square buying another $170 million worth of Bitcoin. That shouldn't come as a surprise because we know that Jack Dorsey, who is the CEO of Square, is a big Bitcoin man. And they've previously bought $50 million, and today they've bought another $150 million, $170 million worth of Bitcoin from their company treasury. Now, the interesting part is that now they are the number 4 biggest holders of Bitcoin after MicroStrategy, Tesla, Galaxy Digital, and then they are in the number 4 space with about $400 million worth of Bitcoin. And that's because the Bitcoin that they've bought have gone up in value, despite what Peter Schiff says. Not only that, that's not the exciting part of the announcement. I mean, obviously, we should get excited when we hear of corporates putting their balance sheet into Bitcoin, but that's not enough to make news anymore. You want to make news, you tell us that Square did $4.5 billion worth of Bitcoin trading on their platform. And that $4.5 billion netted them $90 million in fees. Now, other companies are going to be looking at this and go, hold on a second. If we don't integrate Bitcoin, we're missing out on this big part of the pie. $4.5 billion in turnover plus $100 million in revenue. That is huge. And so that, for me, is the biggest part of the Square announcement. We also had an announcement today by Michael Saylor that they have bought another $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. This is the $1 million that they raised, or $1 billion that they raised about a week ago. This guy waits for no one. This guy just hits the bid. He wakes up in the morning and he hits the bid, and he was buying $2,000 worth of Bitcoin every second, and they have filled the $1 billion Bitcoin. And this time, the average price of a Bitcoin is $52,765. Today, MicroStrategy have $2.17 billion worth of Bitcoin with an average price of about $23,000 a Bitcoin. And that just shows you that if you keep buying and keep buying, you keep averaging and averaging into your price. And for me, the surprising part was that they don't wait. He raises the money and then he goes out and he buys as if he knows that this price is going to continue to rocket up. Okay, I see we have our guest on the line. Michael, welcome back to Crypto Banter, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just read the news and heard the news about Michael Saylor. He's crazy. He's literally crazy.
He's crazy. I mean, I'd love to be one of the traders on his team and say to him, you know, Michael, we can save you like 2 or 3%, and all you have to do is just, you know, time your purchases a little bit. But he just buys. I mean, he just hits the bid.
But did he write out loans to make those buys, or did he just buy it for money again?
No, he took a $1 billion convertible note, and that $1 billion.
Yeah, that's just profits he made on the initial buys he made on Bitcoin, and then he uses that again to get those loans to get more Bitcoin. It's insane if you think about it, but I like it.
Listen, we had a little bit of a bloodbath yesterday. I mean, I know for you and I, we've been here for a long time, and I guess we probably expected this bloodbath. How do you look at things today? Do you think we've recovered? Do you think that was the end of the bloodbath, or do you think there may be another leg down?
It's funny, every time when the market is dropping, you're asking me to come on.
Yes, because I trust your charts. I trust your charting techniques, and I trust your insight.
Well, I don't know. If you go back in history, then usually March is just a very bad month for the market. So I don't believe we're done yet with the correction. But I guess we're not going to be like lower than 40K. If we get this correction and you don't have any position yet, it's just a blessing that you can buy cheap. Even MicroStrategy is using it to buy the dip. So it's just a blessing.
Yeah, when people say that March is a bad month for Bitcoin, let's actually call up the stats. I have the stats over here. So those are the numbers for March. If you look from 2011, minus 15, 2012, minus 1, 2013 was a good year, but generally March is a red month for Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
I must say, I'm not superstitious. I don't think that because March has been a bad month for Bitcoin traditionally, I don't think that it's going to be a bad month again this year. I just think that the market structure is very different this year. What do you think?
Well, there's so many variables that makes those markets move. So like it could be rebalancing of institutions that is pushing the prices down. It's also miners that are selling again. It's just a natural market cycle, which also happens historically. It's also not only bad month on crypto, it's also a bad month on the equity markets. The yields are going up. So there are different variables that can move those markets. And historically, it's just a bad month. Which makes it the easiest way. And the markets literally needed a corrective move. If you were seeing those charts, they had to have a correction. All the newcomers had to feel the pain once.
So going back to it, I mean, we felt a little bit of pain yesterday. Bitcoin went down about 25%, depending on where you get your readings from. Alts went down 35%, 35%. Was that the correction? Was that the bloodbath?
That's a very hard call. I hope it is, but I'm not sure. I believe that we're going to get another wave and we're going to see like low 40Ks. But the last time you asked me, you were also asking me if this is the correction, and then we just continued rallying up. So it's in between. I guess low 40Ks is the ultimate bottom.
Are you looking at any of the charts? Are you looking at any charts to make these calls? Can we have a look at the charts? Can we see what you're looking at?
I don't have any. I just had to rush to come here, so I don't have anything open right now. So I'm sorry for that. But like once again, if you go back in history, you saw just on the screen, March is just a bad month. Corrections usually take some weeks. So the best case, what we have right now is that we get that sideways choppy pattern, and then one more crash down with like 15 to 20%, and then we're done.
I'm going to call up 2017 because I know that you were around in 2017. That's the chart from 2017. You can see that we had multiple 30+% corrections. The thing about these corrections was that they were quite quick. Like I think the average correction was like a week and a half. These corrections were quick in 2017. And for me, the sign of a bull market is when you go down quickly, but you recover quickly.
So I see those messages off the chat. Yeah, I'm Dutch. But if you see those corrections in the chart, you saw weekly candles, and then you get the first drop down of 1 or 2 weeks. So we just witnessed the first drop down of 1 week or 2 weeks. Then it goes flat for some period of time, and then comes another one, which is, so the total corrective modus is like 3 to 4 weeks maximum. We just had 1 week. So we can still have one more drop down, test some lower levels. The police cars are coming by to get me for being so bearish, but usually that's what's happening. So like it takes some weeks more and then we just start grinding up again and the market just continues, as this is just a bull cycle. So we don't have to be in panic mode, except if you've bought Bitcoin at 55K, but then you have to readjust your strategy.
I mean, even if you've bought Bitcoin at 55K, there are a couple of things on the horizon that may happen. I mean, more corporate adoption, more corporate treasuries going into Bitcoin. We could get an ETF this year. I mean, I'm hoping for an ETF.
Yeah, I know, but like if you buy Bitcoin at 55K, you're an investor. Like Michael said, he's buying at 51K because he's got his 10 years horizon. But the people that are listening to this show and to me on social media buy those Bitcoin with leverage 10x and then get liquidated on a drop down because they want to become rich overnight. That's the big difference.
No, okay. So look, we're not a trading channel. We're not the ones that tell you to buy with 10x
No, but
leverage.
that's the audience.
Yeah, we look for fundamentals. We buy on the fundamentals. We make sure that every time we buy, we're buying things that have a network effect and that we fundamentally believe in, except for a very, very small part of our portfolio. Like 10% of our portfolio goes into what we call the 1000x gems. And, those are the ones that we believe that may have a chance of doing it. And we expect to lose more times than we win on those things. Are you looking at any individual coins now that the market has corrected? Are you looking at anything individually and going, that actually might be a buy at this level?
Yeah, I'm looking a lot at like oracles. So we've got Chainlink. I'm looking at that one specifically, but I'm also looking at smaller oracles, which are Teller and Dia and API3. That's a group of coins that I'm definitely looking to buy at these dips, as they did not experience a bull cycle yet. And platforms. I just want to have more Polkadot and more Cosmos, as those projects are going to explode in my belief. So that's the group of coins that I'm looking at.
So let's look. I'm just quickly looking at my phone to see if I can get the latest price of DOT, because I don't have it up here on the screen.
That's like $30, something around there, 38 maybe already.
Yeah, 33 bucks. Would you be buying DOT at 33 bucks? I know that you've been buying it from much earlier. I mean, can you wrap your head around buying something at 33 bucks when you bought it 3 months ago at $6 or $5?
Well, you have to use the current data to make your analysis and to make your decision. So there's no point in saying, okay, I want to buy back at $6. Yeah, everybody wants. But if you want to use historical price action, just use those compression periods that were there inside this entire run. So if I remember it, it's at like 28 to 30 bucks. That is a region. Then between like 21 to 24. Those are the two regions you should be focused on. And even if you get the opportunity to buy at 32 when it was 41, and it's just a regular correction, it's not a bad option. You still outperform 90% of the markets.
Yes. Mike, what do you think the effect of a Bitcoin ETF is on the market? Do you agree with me that if that happens and investors have a tradable share where they can buy Bitcoin with a low 2% per annum holding cost, do you think that the Bitcoin ETF is the game changer?
Yeah, if we get more financial instruments, it's going to be explosive for the markets. I do remember the conversation that Anthony Pompliano had with Kevin O'Leary. He asked Kevin to say, okay, would you want to buy Bitcoin? And then the answer came, if I want to buy 1 billion of Bitcoin, then I can't really buy it through spot Bitcoin, as there's just a big liquidity issue that there is if I want to sell those. So what he wants to do is he wants to buy his stuff through that instrument. So an ETF is opening the gates for many people that have a ton of wealth and want to get exposure towards Bitcoin. So it's just going to be an inflow of cash again into the markets to explode the markets even more.
I've got Commissioner Hester Peirce. I see that she is on the line. I think she's going to be joining us shortly. I'd love to get her views because, I mean, if you look at the Canadian ETF that was launched, this is the Canadian ETF. And this Canadian ETF now has $500 million worth of Bitcoin after trading for 1 week. And this is in Canada. This is not in the USA. So for me, this is a huge thing. We need to get that ETF because if a Canadian ETF got $500 million in, they say that that's the equivalent of an $8 billion USA ETF.
Imagine if we get a basket in which we can all just have different cryptocurrencies in there. What's going to happen with the markets?
Yeah, but I don't think that that's a 2021 thing. I think if we get any chance,
maybe at the later stage of this year, but it's tricky. I know.
The problem is that the SEC has a long time to contemplate these things. So when you submit something, the SEC has like a year in which they can contemplate these things, and they don't really have a sense of urgency to make these things happen. So typically, you find them making a decision to watch towards the end. And that for me has been something else.
Well, it's good that they are actually thinking about it right now, and that's why Hester is on here. So I'm also very interested to see what she's going to say.
Well, then let's see what she has to say. Michael, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to
Cheers,
bring
man.
Hester. Good to see you, my friend. Commissioner Hester Peirce, such an honor to see you again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's nice to be back. As you
You
know,
know,
I've got to give my standard disclaimer, which is that my views are my own views, not necessarily those of the SEC or my fellow commissioners.
yes, and you've been very clear about your own views, even though sometimes they go against the views of the SEC. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, one of the last times we spoke was when you published that public dissent, and I think that was in 2017 or 2018.
2018, yep.
Yeah, and you went against the SEC, and you said that you believed at the time that there should have been, or there should be more clarity towards a Bitcoin ETF.
Yep, and here we are several years later, and we're still in the same place. Although that said, because there have been a number of rejections, I think the industry has a better sense of the kinds of data that the SEC is looking for and the kinds of assurances that the SEC is looking for. Though I still think that there's some lack of clarity there.
So I agree with you. I think that there is a lack of clarity, and I think with every rejection, what the SEC has done very well is kind of tell us why we're having a rejection. So they spoke about custody. They spoke about price manipulation. They spoke about not having enough investor protection. But that was in 2017 and 2018, and we're in 2021 now, and a lot's changed. Is the view of the SEC that indeed a lot has changed, and perhaps we should be looking at this with fresh eyes?
Well, I think what you need to realize is that the context has changed a bit now that we have a new chairman likely coming in relatively soon. He's been named by President Biden, and he'll be going up to the Senate next week for his confirmation hearing, and then there's a process after that. He's someone, Gary Gensler has experience in this area. He's been teaching at MIT and been working with people who are involved in blockchain crypto issues. And so he'll come in with a really good knowledge base and perhaps with a fresh view. Again, we are a bit bound by the prior decisions that the agency made in terms of the reasoning that was employed and the things that they're looking for. But I think that having someone new come in will afford us the opportunity to take a fresh look.
So explain to us what you mean by you're bound by the decisions the agency made in the past. If the agency in the past looked at an ETF and said, look, we can't approve an ETF because we believe that the price is manipulatable or too easy to manipulate because custody may be an issue. If that was the case in 2017 and the crypto industry or the applicant for this can say, look, you said that these were the issues that you had, but today the market has changed and today the market looks like this. Is the SEC then of the mind that you can look at it and go, okay, well, if this has changed, then maybe we need to change our decision?
Well, I mean, again, I think that's what the case that new applicants coming in probably are making. They're arguing, look, the landscape has changed quite a bit. We kind of can sort through which exchanges are regulated versus the ones that aren't. We can sort through the ones where the volume is real and where it's not. We can look at all of the, you just mentioned the Canadian ETF that just started. So the landscape is changing. We have that to look at to see how the markets function there. We see a lot of companies putting, not a lot, but we see some companies very publicly, as you also mentioned, putting treasury assets into Bitcoin. We see more institutional interest across the board in crypto generally. And so those kinds of things factor in, but I think there's still that desire by the SEC as reflected in those denials to look to the underlying market and to want it to look just like an equity market.
So I understand that, and I also understand that there are ETFs on many assets. There are ETFs on gold, there are ETFs on silver. You're now looking at an asset. Bitcoin is an asset which is now in the top 10 assets in the world. I mean, I think it's just under Google. It's bigger than Tesla. It's bigger than most assets. It's 70% of silver's market cap. At the same time, you've got your neighbors just north of us which have approved an ETF, and we've seen $500 million go into that ETF in less than 7 days. Does the SEC look at this and go, hold on a second, are we maybe falling behind? Or is the SEC not that kind of body?
Well, I think, the SEC tries to be deliberate about things and not too influenced by the fact that, the price of Bitcoin has risen a lot, and that's not really the relevant consideration. I think a bigger consideration is that we typically, take our time and watch a market develop and mature. And so I think that that's kind of that's the point that my colleagues would make. Again, I thought several years ago that we were ready to go on a Bitcoin exchange traded product. So again, it depends on the facts and circumstances of the particular product, because these products are not all designed the same, and that matters. The mechanics of how it works actually matters. So we have to look at each one on its own terms. But I think as a practical question, are we ready for it? I would say that yeah, I mean, the market is mature enough to bear an exchange traded product, much as the gold and silver markets are mature enough to bear that kind of product. But those other markets are a lot older. So, I think that's the pushback that I would get from others.
You came out in 2017 and 2018, and you then said that you think that we were ready enough to have a Bitcoin ETF. And 2 years have passed, and a lot has happened in those 2 years, which has made Bitcoin a much more mature asset class, so to speak. In hindsight, do you think that when you came out back then, perhaps the asset class was a little immature, and maybe you did jump the gun when you were a maverick and you said that at the time we should have had a Bitcoin ETF?
No, I stand by my decision. I mean, I understand different people come to different conclusions, but I stand by my decision. Of course, now the futures markets are operating, and the whole market is much more mature, but I think it could have handled it at the time as well.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. If we look at what the SEC's mandate is, as I understand it as a layperson, I see the SEC's mandate as protecting investors, and particularly probably protecting, should we say, the smaller investors out there in the market, the ones that are slightly less astute, right?
Well, I mean, we have a three-part mission, which is to protect investors, facilitate capital formation, and protect the integrity of the marketplace. Sure, we spend a lot of time thinking about retail investors. I do push back a bit on this. I mean, of course, if you're not a professional investor, you're likely not to be as astute, but it doesn't mean that you don't have something to bring to the marketplace. So, I'm always preaching the message of we should let people figure out for themselves what they want to invest in, but we should also tell them, if you make a mistake, don't come running to us and tell us that you want your money back, because that's just not how it works, right? You got to, with the right to make your own decisions comes the responsibility when you make bad ones, and then you hope you learn and move on and do better. So please, exercise skepticism.
So the reason why I asked that is because if I look at the success of things like the Grayscale Trust, and no doubt you have been watching the Grayscale Trust and the large amount of deposits that the Grayscale Trust gets, and no doubt you've seen that the Grayscale Trust trades at a premium, which effectively means that accredited investors who by design are slightly wealthier investors at the moment are buying assets in this trust at net asset value, and they're offloading this to, should we say, the man in the street or the less sophisticated investor, and they're offloading it at a premium. Now, every time I see that happening and I see the trust growing, and I think the trust has got about $30 billion under management now, I keep thinking to myself, surely the SEC is watching this and going, we have to approve a Bitcoin ETF, because for as long as there's not an ETF, unsophisticated, unaccredited investors are paying a huge premium for something that they shouldn't be paying a premium for.
Look, I mean, that's something that certainly is a trend that I've been watching, and that's a point that I make, which is, people do want to get access to this market, and you can go ahead and you can just buy spot Bitcoin, right? But that doesn't, I think, as you were just mentioning before I got on, that doesn't necessarily work for everyone for various reasons. And so allowing people an easy way to get in and out of the asset through our regulated markets is, can be very helpful for retail investors. And so that's certainly a point that I'm watching, and a point that I'm trying to convince my colleagues to take a look at as well. I think you've frozen up, so I can't hear you anymore.
Sorry, I seem to have lost internet connection. I wonder if I'm back. Am I back, Fred?
You're back. You're alive again. Yes.
I lost internet connection there for a second. So I lost internet connection. So what happens now? I know that there are multiple applications that are in. I think that some of them are backed by some of the big names in the industry. And I know, and I'm not going to put you on the spot to talk about the individual applications, but maybe just run us through the process, because we have Gary Gensler coming in at some point in the near future. What happens next? Do we assume that the SEC takes their time and runs through the maximum allowable time period? Or is there like a chance that perhaps the SEC will have some kind of urgency, or maybe under Gary Gensler, he'd want to make a mark and come out with something for investors? How do we view what happens next?
Well, I think one important thing to remember is that any new chairman is going to come in with a very big agenda and lots of items on it. And most of those items will have nothing to do with crypto. So that's one piece to remember. Another piece to remember is that a lot of what is done on these applications is done at the staff level. There's a lot of discussion between staff members and the various applicants. They're exchanging data, thinking about these issues, trying to figure out how these products would work if they went online. And so that process is happening, and it doesn't matter who the chairman is. And a lot of the decisions can be made at the staff level. They aren't necessarily always elevated up to the commission level. So you can have a decision made on an application without that being made at the commission level. So bottom line is, a chairman has a big influence on the agency's direction and can decide that something is important, and that something should rise to the top of the agenda. But there are going to be a lot of other competing issues.
So the chat is going here, asking about Janet Yellen and Janet Yellen's potential influence. We know that she's come out multiple times against Bitcoin. As of yesterday, she came out and she said it's a highly speculative asset and it's an inefficient asset. How much influence does Janet Yellen have on the process indirectly? We know that directly she's probably not really involved in the process, but surely you need everyone on one team. Otherwise, you've got disarray or arguments in the ranks.
Well, the SEC is an independent a regulatory agency, and so that means that we're doing our own thing. We're subject, of course, to congressional oversight, but we're doing our own thing. Of course, people pay attention to Janet Yellen. She has a lot of, people respect her, and she's got a lot of years of experience. But I think that some of the comments she's made, suggest a leeriness about crypto, but she's also made comments to suggest she's open to thinking about crypto. And so I think we need to remain optimistic that she'll be open to those conversations. And, again, I don't think it's wrong to say that there's some speculation involved in the crypto markets.
Yeah, I guess there is. But if you look at stocks and gold, specifically, if you look at the GameStop events from last week or from a couple of weeks ago, I think there's speculation in every asset class.
Speculation has a bad name, and I think speculation is important to keep markets operating. But again, I go back to the point that people also need to be realistic, that speculation can involve gains, but it also can involve pretty dramatic losses. So you better know what you're doing, and you better be willing to lose some money. So, I think having a Treasury Secretary saying that this is a different kind of asset class is not in in and of itself a bad thing. And I think that the openness, there's an openness, I think, across the government now as people are seeing that the asset class growing to learn more about it. And so I'm optimistic that as people learn more about it, we'll be able to get more regulatory clarity, which is what I think a lot of people are looking for.
Amazing. And I have to ask you this question because, again, the chat's going crazy. They're talking about Cryptomom. I think that was a tag that we gave you in 2017. And everybody wants to know, does Cryptomom hold any Bitcoin in a personal capacity?
I'm not allowed to hold any crypto, so I don't have crypto because in my job they don't allow me to hold it. So that's the answer.
They don't allow you to hold any assets or any
I'm allowed to have some assets, but I'm not allowed to have crypto assets.
Wow. Okay. Every time I speak to you, you make me feel so calm and confident about what's going to happen in the US regulatory circle. I do have a question which I guess I want you to speculate on, and that is, do you think that by the end of 2021, we won't hold you to this, and we know that you are pro, so we know that your vote with the right structure and the right product is going for a yes, because we read your public dissent and many other pieces. But if you were a betting person, would you say that by the end of 2021 we can expect a Bitcoin ETF?
There are too many variables. As I said, I think the specifics of each of the applications matters, and I haven't had a chance to look at those in detail. And as I said, I think that the chairman change does make a difference in this as well. So I'm not going to bet.
Was Jay Clayton against crypto? I mean, now he's out of the commission, and I mean, it seemed like he wasn't the friendliest crypto person in the world. Like, was he? I mean, we won't tell anyone if you tell us. Was he against crypto?
Well, I think I'll let him speak for himself, but I will say that, again, I wish I had been more able to convince him to, and it's not just about an exchange traded product, it's about providing some clarity around crypto. And I wasn't very successful in convincing him. So I guess you can read into that what you want, but again, he can speak for himself.
How high up on the agenda is regulatory clarity on crypto versus all the other things that you guys have to work on? I mean, there's so much going on at the SEC. There's so many other products. Where is crypto in this hierarchy? And has it changed since the prices have been going up and the interest has been going up, and now it's becoming, I mean, it's $1 trillion plus asset class at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that there's greater interest not only among retail, but among institutional and among the entities we regulate, I think that does push it higher up the agenda. But you mentioned GameStop and the events around trading in those meme stocks. That's opened up a whole new investigation on our part. We're working on a report on those events, and then thinking about whether any potential regulatory changes come out of that. So that's going to be a big thing. And there are a lot of other things. I mean, it'll be interesting to see the hearing next week, because we'll get a better sense of what's on Gary Gensler's agenda. And then you can kind of figure out from there where maybe crypto will fit into that. But the chairman does set the agenda. So that's really what determines where the SEC will go.
That sounds amazing. If I could ask you a favor, if you could please chat to the chairman and just say to him, Crypto Man Rand from CNBC Crypto Trader and from Banter asks if you could please move the Bitcoin ETF a little bit higher up on the agenda. Tell him that I don't think that the GameStop thing is as important at the moment. That can take a backseat. We need.
I mean, you're going to have to talk to him directly yourself. You got to get him to get on Twitter, and then you guys can all talk to him.
Amazing. Text me his number, and I will ping him. I'll ping him, and maybe we can give him the title of Crypto Dad.
Well, I already told him he was Crypto Great Grandfather, so I think we got to go with that one.
Hester, first, it's been amazing speaking to you. I'm always smiling at the end of our conversations, and this time is no difference. And as you can see in the comments, the community just love you. Thank you for all you're doing for crypto. We know that you're our person on the inside, and that we've got someone there looking after our interests. So thank you so much.
Well, this has been fun. Have a good rest of the day. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Wow, I love speaking to her. She is just, why can't they all be like that? I mean, why can't all regulators just be like Commissioner Hester? I mean, she's so fun. She's so straightforward. She's so rational in her approach. We need more of that. Guys, if you think that we need more of that, do me a favor. Smash that like. I see that we're only on 575 likes. There are 2,000 of you watching this live. And we just had a commissioner. We had a commissioner, a sitting commissioner at the SEC, come and talk to you guys and make us feel amazing. All I'm asking you to do is just give us some love, because that is what shares this. And I want more people to hear what Commissioner Hester Peirce said. Smash, 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 smash those likes. I'm waiting for you guys because I've got a big surprise for you. I've got a guest for us who is bringing us a whole lot of calls of what he is buying in this dip, if he's buying anything. And if you want that, guys, smash that like button. Fred, how many likes have we got? Okay, Fred's checking the likes for us. Come on, Fred. Ooh, okay. Fred says we got a thumbs up. We can go. We can bring in our man. The man we all love, and that is, of course, Coach K.
What is
Welcome
up?
back.
How's everyone doing?
Coach, I'm starting to get worried, man. You know, I run a show every single day, and I work hard every single day to bring the community crypto love, crypto wisdom. And whenever I talk about my show, whenever people walk up to me and talk about the show, the only person they talk about is Coach K.
Oh, come on now.
Yesterday, I must actually show you this. Yesterday, I was speaking to one of my very good friends who I haven't spoken to in a couple of days. And he said to me, I said to him, you know, he said, I know, I watch your show every single day. And I said, oh, really? Wow, that's amazing. And he said, you know, I love, like, he didn't say anything about me. He just said, I love the guy with the bald head. I like that guy. And I was like, who? Coach K. So I guess this is becoming very much like the Coach K show. The community love you. I mean, look at the comments. Coach K is a legend. Coach K is the best. Remember that Coach K is on tomorrow with his very own show. We've got prestigious picks with Coach K. That's going to happen just before my show because we don't want it. That's going to be at 9:30 EST because we don't want it to interlap with BitBoy Crypto show. But despite that, I thought I'd get Coach K on today because there was a correction yesterday.
There was.
And Coach K was buying like a mofo. Coach, what were you buying?
Oh, I was buying so much yesterday. I mean, everything that I talk about, you know, we talk about DOT, we talk about KSM, we talk about ADA, I talked about Fala, I talk about Atom and Cake. I have my own show, as you know. So actually I did a video yesterday, which came out, I think like 14 hours ago or something like that, which went over what I was buying on the dip. So I was talking about specifically, these are the coins I'm looking at. These are the ones that have good setups technically. These are the ones that are just going to bounce because they're down so much. And we were looking at stuff that was down like 40, 50, 60%. That obviously is a very good project and was pushed down a little bit too much from one specific thing, and that's panic. And that's panic is, I'll tell you guys one thing. Panic, the reason you feel it is because you don't have a plan. So you go in your trade, you're like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm doing so well. All the stuff's going up. So you go and you start buying all this stuff and you're like, I'm going to be rich, and you don't take any profit. So because you don't take profit, you leave it, you don't put a stop loss on. And then you get these dips and you're like, holy crap, now I'm down 20%, and you start selling because you don't want to be down anymore. So I think that really, I'm not wearing pants. You're right. How did you know? You caught me.
You ever wear pants on my show, Coach?
I do. I wear shorts mostly because it's hot in Thailand. But you know, it's just, yeah, they don't wear pants in Thailand. Thank you very much. She knows. He knows. Whoever it is. But yeah, like that real one thing I get on my guys, my friends about it so much. I'm like, guys, stop being, you know, I'm not going to say the words because I know we're not supposed to on YouTube. So don't be that guy, you know? And they're like, man, but I'm like so stressed out. I'm like, guys, when you make a trade, click 3 things in your mind. Number 1, where am I getting in? Where am I going to stop out? So I'll take my loss. And where am I going to take profit? If you have all 3 of those things, you'll never stress out. You'll never panic in a dip. You're stop out, and that happens, and it is what it is. But yeah, stuff I was looking at yesterday and stuff I'm looking at today. I'll share my screen.
Hold on a second. Before you share your screen, I'm looking at the likes. There are 2,000 people watching us live and there are 917 likes. I don't think that we should do any calls unless we get likes. So I'll see you tomorrow for your show, 9:30 a.m. EST. Guys, smash those likes. I got Coach K for you, and he's going to give us calls right now. He's going to tell us what he's buying. This is invaluable. Let's go, go, go. Smash, smash, smash those likes. Coach, let's share your screen. I see that the guys are now smashing the likes. Come on, guys, you can do it. I can see we're just going over 1,000 likes. Well done to you guys. Let's smash it. Let's break this algorithm. Let's share this content with everybody in crypto because they need it. Coach, let us look at what you are buying. I'm adding you to the stream.
Okay. Here we go. All right. So first one yesterday, I talked about.
Macro question.
Yes.
Do you think that we've seen the end of the blood?
Not even, well, okay. I think March is always a bad month, but we have a stimulus coming. So we have some factors we haven't had in the past. So I'm actually playing level by level because of that stimulus. Otherwise, I would be sitting a little bit more out of the market. Right now, I'm kind of partially out, partially in. So I did take profit on the way up, and I knew that we were eventually going to dump. And I did expect this kind of overshot and then dump, and we kind of got right back to that level I was looking at. So ETH was a good place to buy at around 1475. I talked about how we had a high over here that we didn't retest. We retested it finally. So as you guys can see, this is a daily chart that was on February 3rd. We didn't retest all the way till the 23rd. So you have to be patient. Patience makes you money. Another one I looked at yesterday, beautiful setup on every other level. I mean, look at how far it's gone up. I can't even see the chart anymore down here.
You just can't see that close. Is that BNB?
That's BNB. So this is just a basic straight up trade setup. We have a perfect Kijun bounce. We came back. The Kijun was flat. I told you guys it acts like a magnet. So think of this red thing right here as a magnet when it's flat. So it pulls the price down. So it pulled it all the way back down to here. This was a perfect entry at around $190, $200. And I do foresee this continuing and breaking out of this downtrend right here and going higher. I see BNB not stopping because of BSC. And because of BSC, we'll just continue on and go to Cake. So Cake, obviously, I don't know why it's showing on Tether so weird, but Cake started, I'm going to just pull up the BUSD version of that because that doesn't look right. Okay, so Cake was way down here on the daily time frame. Again, a Kijun bounce, so it flattened out. Again, we get that same magnet tapping where it flattens out, pulls it back down. We have a really nice looking hooking up Tenkin. Kijun still flat. That's good. Bounce, go higher. So that's what I'm seeing with this. So a lot of these I'm expecting to go much higher. I think Cake will be over 20 again. I think EWT is one that's like so ready to go. So we're looking again, another Kijun bounce. So guys, if you've never seen a Kijun bounce before, I'll just go through it. You're above the cloud is check number one on the bullish. We're above the candlesticks with this level, which is our Chiku spin. And we had a TK cross that was bullish way back here. So it's a bullish chart. We're in a bullish territory and we're bouncing off the Kijun, which means we bounce off the red level when it's flat, and then we generally bounce and go higher. So we see that as well. EWT, we also see this on their daily chart for BTC. We're seeing that it's kind of just getting into the cloud, and if this could bounce, we could see it go all the way to the first edge is at 36,000, which is like a 30% gain from where we're at right now. So
hold on, which token is this?
This is Energy Web's token, sorry. Yeah, EWT. And another one that I've been looking at and I've been in since way down here, right where this purplish looking line is and retest was ICX. So I talked about this before. I still see it on the uptrend, and even with the dump, it just dumped and retested the Kumo top right here. So broke about, came and retested. I think this is going to continue going higher as well. So there's so many nice trade setups like Fala as well. I'll give you my number one trade call once you guys give me 100 more likes. Give me 100 likes, guys.
100 more likes, guys. We have.
I'll give you guys the all-star trade, and it's one of Rand's favorites too. But thank you. Oh, okay. Coach is funny, smart.
Okay. Let's go. Coach is funny, smart, and handsome. We love Coach.
I love you guys. You guys are so funny, man. I swear. I love this. Like, crypto community is the greatest. Like, they'll be your best friend when you're right, but when you're wrong, they'll let you know. They'll be like, "You were wrong." It's like the one time you could be wrong. If you're like,
when you're right, you are right, and everybody's friendly with you. When you're wrong, they'll let you know. They'll let the SEC know. They'll let.
I love the honesty. I love the honesty. Really, like it's the beautiful thing about this industry where people actually are really honest. They're not backstab. Well, they do backstab you, but like people are much more straightforward, which is nice. Like they're
In a bull market. In a bull market.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. We do have
Okay.
the 100 likes that you
Two
spoke
more.
about. Let's go. We got two more.
Number one, Fala. Okay, so I talked about Fala. It did its whole
yeah.
trade right here, 100%. Beautiful. Now we're looking at it again for the same exact trade setup. So here we had a Kijin bounce, flat Kijin bounced and went higher. What is going on, MetaMask? Okay, and then we got a flat Kijin here. I know it's kind of a little bit hard to see, so I'll just zoom in a bit. We had that flat Kijin again. It pulled it down and tested it twice, 3 times. I think that it's going to also go higher. So I'm seeing that same trade over and over again. And guys, trading is boring, okay? If you're a good trader, this doesn't excite you.
I wish I had a sister to marry Coach and have little coaches over Christmas. I love
the best community.
IL. You just won yourself $50 worth of tokens.
Nice.
Get all I mean, that is amazing. $50 worth of tokens to IL. Thank you for making us laugh. Coach, send me the $50.
I'll give you my all-star pick for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It'll be ADA. And I mean, you called it last month and you were right. But I'm hearing things. I heard from a couple buddies of mine that this might be going on a very large exchange, and there's only a few I can think of. So if it is going to finally be on a larger exchange than Binance, then I'm really excited about that. And the chart tells me that it's going somewhere big. Because if that information is correct that I got, and I don't know, it's unconfirmed, so I don't want to create FUD or FOMO or anything. But if that information is correct, it's why this chart looks the way it does. And what I mean by that is this. Do you see these huge wicks always coming down and then going right back up and closing higher? That is telling me that people know stuff on the inside. You can read a chart and know what people are actually know what they know. Okay. And once you do this long enough, you'll start to realize you can tell what people know or what they don't know because of what's going on. And this chart tells me that people know stuff because every time, even in a really bearish move, it got pushed down, it bounced and came back higher. And like, this is still a super bullish chart for what happened to Bitcoin just 2 days ago. So I'm looking at this and going, some people know something. This is probably going to have some big news coming, but it also has an extremely bullish chart. So I'm thinking that ADA will probably be, and guys, I'm serious, and by the middle of March, even with a March downturn, I still think it'll be $1.50. I really do. And it could be higher.
You got to beat BitBoy, who says it's going to be a $9 token. BitBoy loves.
It could be, but not. I'm talking like more in the shorter term. I think ADA is going to have a really nice push higher, and if it does follow suit with other things that I've seen with coins that get listed on really big exchanges, we could see it go really parabolic. Especially with knowing one factor is that in a bull market, whatever positive news you have is exponentially more positive. I mean, we saw Super, we saw L Pool do 400x, 150x for Super. We're seeing market movements like we did in the last bull market. And even if we have a down March, I still think all the new projects are going to come out and they're going to come out bullish.
All right,
so
Coach,
tomorrow I'll tell you 2 new ones.
Okay, tomorrow we got Coach on at 9:30 a.m. EST. We will publicize that tomorrow. And then Friday, we banter. And Coach is always part of our banter. So, I mean, Coach is part of the family. So, Coach, thank you so much. Good night, my
pleasure.
friend. We'll see you tomorrow. Guys, if you enjoyed the show and you're still here, give us one more like. Hit that bell button. Make sure that you catch us tomorrow, because tomorrow, lots of programming right here on CryptoBanter.com. If you are trading, guys, it's still risky out there. There's still volatility. So be careful. Trade well. Buy things that can only survive a bear market. Don't buy anything that's not going to survive a bear market. And if you're not part of our Telegram, join the Telegram, because I posted a lot of trades in the Telegram. Like this morning, I posted that I'm buying OpenDAO, and I bought OpenDAO at about $1.15. And now I think it's much higher than that. So keep following us and keep joining the Telegram. I'll see you guys again, same time, same place, tomorrow, 10 a.m. EST. I'm Crypto Man Run, checking out. If you're trading, trade well, my friends.
Crypto Banter is a social podcast for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers should not be construed as financial advice. Views expressed by guests and hosts do not reflect the views of the station. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research.